Good evening, my friends. This is the Grimflayer. I hope you are all doing very well tonight. Back with you for another league match. We are 2-0 in our current league. We took down Blue-White Control in round 1, and we took down Burn in round 2, and now it's time for round 3, so let's do it. We're playing some Dark Confidant Golgari. We have a main deck Nile Spellbomb, otherwise it is the same list we've been seeing. And, oh, this is a rough one, isn't it? This is so powerful, this hand. Especially in a blind game 1, these Thought Seizes are going to be good, but I simply don't think I can keep a one-lander. On the play especially. Might be a little more tempted if I was on the draw, but we're going to have to maul this. Very close, but not quite good enough. Really hate to mulligan. Our opponent will be kind and join us on the maul train. We will keep this as a fine 6. Very fine 6. Opponent's going down a little bit further. We have another Tireless Tracker on top. Now, that's a really interesting one. I'm very likely to hit enough lands to make this card good. I think I'm actually supposed to keep this on top in a blind game when I don't really know what I'm after. We'll top that. So we're going to lead on the Thoughtseize. Of course. Okay, looks like we are against Storm. And let's look at the game log here. They went on top, which means it is almost certainly a land on top. Now, the Goblin Electromancer is the least redundant piece in their hand, but we have an answer to it with Fatal Push, so I think I'm supposed to just take away something that's not the Electromancer, and Serum Visions is likely to be their most effective cantrip overall, so let's go ahead and do that. I guess we're going to leave this game log up at least for a little while, because they've got some scries coming with Opt. Yep, there's the land we knew was on top. And there's the tracker we knew we had on top. So, yep, Hissing Quagmire. Now, Tireless Tracker is not particularly good in this matchup, but they mulled low enough that she might become relevant as more than just a underwhelming clock. Now, they might not play out the Electromancer because if we left it, you know, there's a decent likelihood we've got the Fatal Push, as they well expect, but maybe they just don't have any real option to slow roll this after having mulliganed. Alright, so Maelstrom Pulse is okay. We'd be so much better off here with one of our other threats. Besides Tracker here, Tarmogoyf would have been great somewhere along this line. Dark Confidant would have been great. Scavenging Ooze even is pretty decent game 1 especially. Before they board kind of away from some of the Graveyard Matter stuff. But we have the Tracker, and at least we have a threat, right? At least we have a clock going. They went bottom with that Opt. Alright, good to know. Dark Confidant, well, that is the play. A little bit late, but still might be relevant, again, given how much they've had to maul and dig and all that good stuff. This Tracker might not be much more than a Balduvian Barbarians this game, though, but you know what? That's okay. When both decks mulligan, sometimes you just need a dumb beater, right? We'll bluff a Fatal Push here. Now, they haven't hit the third land quite yet, which is, of course, very good for us. Very good for us. They're taking a not insignificant amount of pain from this Shivan Reef as well. So if they just have to pass here, this is great for us. We can pulse this thing away. We can pull ahead on cards. We can get in for at least 5. Alright, so we've revealed a Tarmogoyf. Tarmogoyf is a great clock. and all that. I think I just have to kill this Baral on sight, though. Means we've got a really awkward turn as far as our mana goes. We can't have a double spell, we can't crack a clue, we can't do anything too spicy, but because our opponent is so behind on board, that is actually just fine with us. They've got another mana bear, sure. But again, without... Yeah, there's a Lily of the Veil. Yeah, we're just going to keep the board nice and clear at this point. Once more, we don't have the luxury of a double spell turn or of cracking clues, but yeah, that'll do it. Alright, so our opponent did not put up much of a fight there. They were unlucky. They mulled to 5. They, I'm sure, made the right decisions with all their scries, and they just got land screwed. It just kind of happens. So we're not gonna turn our noses up at that. We don't really care how we get there, as long as we get there, and we did get there in game 1. So against Storm, it's always a little bit tricky to sideboard against Storm, because you don't know how heavy they're going to stay on the graveyard mechanics, right? So it's not a matter of just piling in all of our graveyard mechs and calling it good. In my opinion, we should kind of be running a split. We should kind of be hedging between answers to Empty the Warrens and answers to the Past in Flames plan. So, with that in mind, let's figure out what we might want. So these are all considerations. Everything over here is good against one of their two kind of modes of storming off. Surgical Extraction fits the bill as well. I like Collective Brutality. It can kill Electromancer. It can strip a card out of hand. And then stuff like... something like Choke as a cute one of is also kind of relevant. They do play a lot of non-islands, though, like the Shivan Reef we saw, the Spire Bluff Canal. But, you know, even taking Storm off of like 2 lands, if we could get a halfway decent Choke, is reasonable. So we have 8 cards to consider. I don't think we really want Fulminators. I don't think we want to go quite that far. What don't we like? Well, Assassin's Trophy is very bad. We don't want to ramp them. And we have more than enough removal for their mana bears anyway. The 1-for-1 removal is not great to begin with. Lily the Last Hope is a little bit too slow. Honestly, so are some things like Tracker and Kalitas are not great. And Abrupt Decay is not as bad as Trophy, but still kind of bad. So we already have a Spellbomb main. Maybe 2 Spellbomb and a Cage is just going to be sufficient, along with a Surgical Extraction. If we do something like that, we can comfortably cut a Tracker. And what about this Choke? Do we want to try to choke him out? Get a cheeky little Choke in there in place of maybe a Kalitas? I could buy that. I could buy that. These, you know, we do need a clock, we do need threats, but some of our threats are just so underwhelming as, like, as just a pure clock, that I think we're supposed to shave down on them to some degree, right? Just to some degree. So we still have a lot of grave hate, a lot of graveyard interaction. I think we're supposed to keep this hand. It definitely needs some help, but we are on the draw. We're likely to see the help that it needs, which is basically a green source and, of course, a threat as well. But I think this hand is fine. Inquisition is great. Fatal Push is potentially nice. I'll give this a keep. They're going to cast a Serum Visions, and they are going top. Okay, that's a little frightening. All right, we've got green online when we need it. That is a good thing. Inquisition U. So I can assume that they topped 2 non-land cards. I think we pretty clearly take pieces of the puzzle here. This is a fantastic card against us. They've just got a pair of Monomorphos, but again, we assume that they saw some action on top. Yep, they saw a Serum Visions. Looks like they're rocking some different art islands here, so we want to keep track of that a little more closely than usual. And they saw Sleight of Hand that they found with the Serum, so yep, couple cantrips on top is definitely not bad. Whew! Well, we asked for green mana source and a threat, and we found both immediately, so thanks Top Deck. And we're going to play the Tarmogoyf. I think that is clearly the play here. We will have to shock, so we have access to double black in case we draw Liliana the Veil. And Tarmogoyf is insulated from Lightning Bolt here because there is no instant in the yard quite yet. Here comes the shock in, the steam vents, and they found a pieces of the puzzle. That's a good one. So they put Sleight of Hand and Gifts Ungiven into their hand. They binned 2 lands and an Electromancer, huh? Okay, well, Pieces is one of their best cards against us, that is for sure. And right now we still don't have any interaction with their graveyard, and we draw a forest for a turn. That's not exciting at all. So I think the play here is Field of Ruin, and the big question is, what do we gain from fielding their steam vents right now? Probably not a ton. They're going to play at least one basic mountain for situations just like this, I have to assume. Maybe we can draw step the field, see how far that gets us. I kind of like that, so we'll set a stop on our opponent's draw. Yeah. Okay. I can buy that. And we're going to go get a swamp here so we can hold up Fatal Push. So that forest was not a terrible draw, at least in that sense. It lets us get a swamp here and still have double green if we need that. The other good thing about using the field semi-aggressively here is that we have another one, and they might become better in multiples if we have nothing better to do. The opponent seemed like they thought about taking some kind of action there, but in the end, decided against it. The dig continues. Goblin Electromancer, you got it. Okay, in response to this, we're going to push. Very nice, very nice. Okay, they're going to keep digging. Looks like they're setting up for, you know, perhaps a medium-sized Empty the Warrens or Grape Shot, which would be decent, but I hope it's empty at this point, because I have 2 answers to the Goblin tokens just in hand, waiting to roll, waiting to be deployed. If they find another ritual, they can potentially do more than that. Just see what they find here. Needless to say, having the Fatal Push in that particular window was extremely nice. That was, I would expect us to be in for a world of hurt, potentially just dead if we didn't have that push there. We know they have the gifts in hand. Opponent's kind of deep in the tank here. I won't pretend to speculate on all the options that they could be going over right now because, you know, I'm just not... I've just never played Storm. I know how to play against it to a reasonable degree, but I have not spent any time piloting the deck, so the type of situation that could be sending them this deep into the tank is beyond me. Are they just going to lose out on everything they did that turn? Well, that's okay with me. That is all right with me. All right, they didn't have anything. They went on the dig, and wow. Okay, well, I certainly am going to play this other Tarmogoyf. That's a wonderful draw. The only question is, do we hit the Field of Ruin first? I don't know that hitting the field accomplishes all that much here. I could be wrong. I could be wrong, and maybe I am supposed to play the field, but I'm just going to throw down another Goyf and attack. Kind of bluff our 1 and 2 mana pieces of spot removal here. Alright, so they had another Steam Vents in hand, so yeah, actively fielding I don't think was going to do us too much good there. Huh. So, if I play the Engineered Explosives, and then crack it before damage, just, you know, if I just play it on 0 and crack it, that is lethal. That puts Artifact into the yard, and makes Tarmogoyf lethal, right? Yeah, we've got Sorcery, we've got Land, we've got Creature, and we have Instant, so Artifact would make them a 5/6. That would be lethal. I don't think I'm supposed to, though. I think that's a really aggressive line, and it might get us there, don't get me wrong. But the problem with that is that if they have like an unsubstantiate or some other way to bounce a Tarmogoyf, like a wipe away, we won't have lethal anyway, and then they just kind of got one of our best answer cards out of our hand for free. So they're going to struggle to kill me in one shot here, and if they assemble a big Empty the Warrens, we can just kind of deal with it. So I don't think I'm going to do the Engineered Explosives, tempting though that is. So based on the way they're hesitating there, I think they do have an unsubstantiate or a wipe away or something like that. I truly do. So we're going to play our manland here. We've just got to pass. Unfortunately, we are just shields down here. Setting the EE in advance doesn't do anything because, of course, the big fear here is that they're going to get a couple mana bears and then be able to go off, and, you know, we can't deal with those, right? Without dealing with our own Tarmogoyfs. So that's a line that's going to come back to haunt me, perhaps, if we do lose this game. I'm going to wonder if I should have just made them have something with the Engineered Explosives. But, again, based on my read... Okay. So they've got Past in Flames, 2 Rituals, and a Monomorphos. The fact that they're on 5 lands already... This might be kind of deterministic, to be honest, if they have a Grape Shot in hand. I really don't know. I know that often you're supposed to just take away the rituals here and all that, but maybe we're supposed to put the Past in Flames in the yard. What if I just leave them with both rituals? Then what happens? Then they ritual, Past in Flames. Then what? Then just do everything. This might, I mean, yeah. Maybe I still just take away both rituals. If they have a 6th land in hand, I think I'm just kind of dead no matter what. Or they get to go off at least no matter what if they have a 6th land in hand. So sure, I'll take away both rituals. It might not even matter. Let me know if that was wrong. It could very well be. Do they not have land number 6? Or maybe it's yet another shock land. That would be amusing. Oh, they have another ritual in hand. Well, that'll also do it. Yeah, this has been, you know, we've had some decent draws for sure. We had the green land into Tarmogoyf when we needed both, but we also did not have a single piece of hand disruption this game, nor did we have a single piece of graveyard interaction. And that is definitely not where we want to be. Now, again, if they don't have Grape Shot as a payoff, then we're going to be fine. If they do have Grape Shot as a payoff, well, it looks like they're going to have us here in Game 2. And then I'm going to really wonder whether I should have just grown my Goyfs with the EE. Again, that hesitation before they allowed the damage through makes me think they had some way to survive that, but tough calls all around. All right, the dig is on. I mean, when they go off with this large of a graveyard and Past in Flames and this much mana, they're going to find something. Again, the question is just whether it's going to be lethal Grape Shot to the face or something else that we can manage. It looks like, you know, they're pretty firmly, you know, they haven't really shown us any sideboard cards yet besides pieces of the puzzle. So they might be still leaning more heavily on the graveyard and on Grape Shot than a lot of Storm players that I've seen, who, against us, seem to lean more heavily on Empty the Warrens. But this is feeling like a Grape Shot to me, fellas. Yep, let's see what you have for win conditions. They do have the Grape Shot. They don't even go for an Empty the Warrens. Interesting. Well, I'll put your win condition into the graveyard, but it is all over for us. Very possible that I misplayed by not just going for it with the EE, because I guess we can still beat them with a Maelstrom Pulse anyway, potentially. But we will not know. We will not know because they didn't. We never got to see the rest of their hand, whether they had a unsubstantiate or wipe away or anything else along those lines. I'm not sure why they're continuing to really dig through the whole deck here. But we're going to make them play it out, I suppose. Yeah, so let me know what you would have done there. I mean, obviously, hindsight's kind of 20/20 with the EE. There's the grape shot, sure. Obviously, because we lose now, that seems clear that it would have been better to at least go for it. Let me know also, though, what you would have done with that gifts ungiven on our end step, excuse me. Again, I think it was pretty deterministic since they had that ritual in hand. But, you know, I'm no expert about Storm, so could be wrong. And look at this life total just ticking all the way down to 0. Good game. They got us. They got us. All right. So the only piece of graveyard hate that we didn't bring in was this final Nile Spellbomb. Are we interested in that? I mean, probably, even though now they could kind of pivot to a less graveyard-dependent plan. But yeah, and that's what I'm worried about. Like, I've lost a lot to Storm just against Empty the Warrens tokens when I have graveyard hate going on and they're not using it at all. So I think a Cage, 2 Spell Bombs, 3 Scavenging Oozes, a Surgical Extraction, that's got to be enough, right? So I'm going to leave that Spell Bomb out. There's nothing else I really want to lose. We could cut another Tireless Tracker, is the only real thing, but I don't want to go too low on threats, do I? So I'm just going to run it back. I think we keep this Dark Confidants really good, and Liliana the Veil on curve is amazing if we can hit our 3rd land, which with Bob we should. So this is bad if they have Lightning Bolt for Dark Confidant. But I think we are supposed to keep this hand. It's got a lot of really good stuff. Once more, we are lacking in the hand disruption department, though. That's been unlucky. I don't think we're supposed to aggressively mull for it, you know, when we have a pretty strong hand otherwise. But it would sure be nice to have some. Alright, EE. Not the draw we're looking for, but now we have our bases covered against Empty the Warrens if they've got it. And we really need to hope this Bob sticks around and finds us like a Blooming Marsh next turn or some other untapped dual land. Grape shot the Bob. Well, that is unfortunate, but the draw of Swamp is great. So Liliana the Veil time, and I'm going to pitch the Choke. It's kind of a more marginal card anyway. It's going to grow the Tarmogoyf with an enchantment type, and we don't have green yet as things stand. They also have a Spire Bluff Canal, so Choke isn't going to totally choke them out. Okay, we still have no graveyard hate, no direct hand disruption, but Lily at least is going to be eroding their resources quite well, whatever they do. Alright, Lily, take us home, baby. Show us the way. Alright, once more they're stuck on lands. So, for that reason, it is interesting to simply Edict the Lily here. Ticking up is fine. Ticking up is actually just great, honestly. The only problem there is we have to pitch our EE if we tick up, because then we push, we play the Marsh, we hold the Goyf. Is it worth pitching the EE to tick up, or should we just Edict? I actually rate our cards in hand pretty highly. I'm going to Edict. Yeah, I'm going to Edict. Looks like they got another Mana Bear here, sure. Collective Brutality is a nice draw. So here we can empty our whole hand one way or another. So we're going to play the Tarmogoyf. Now, we're going to disrupt their hand with Collective Brutality. The question is, would we rather set EE on 0, or would we rather drain them for 2? The Tarmogoyf is a 4/5. That's a clean... It increases the clock significantly, actually, if we just pitch the EE to drain them. I don't see them really casting and empty the Warrens anytime soon anyway, I guess, right? So, yeah, let's get more aggressive here. We're gonna escalate. The other option is just to set the EE out on 0, but I think we're gonna escalate. It's gonna grow the Goyf. It's gonna get a little damage across. This is honestly another tough call, but yeah, let's do it. We will escalate. Reveal your hand. Drain you for 2. Okay, we're totally empty-handed. So they have Goblin Electromancer, Past in Flames, Manamorphose, Ritual, and pieces of the puzzle. I guess... Pieces is the best card here, but it's slow. I think we're supposed to just keep choking them on mana, and we're going to take away the Ritual. Oh my god, I forgot to take my Lily up. I am a fool. I am a fool. My bad, guys, my bad. We'll see if it matters. We'll see if it matters. That is unbelievable. When I just get a little bit too wrapped up in talking, I get a little less wrapped up in clicking. And the whole reason we emptied our hand that aggressively is so we could take the Lily up asymmetrically. And that did not work out for us. So my apologies, my friends. That was a bit poor. But if they're continuing to be stuck on 2 mana here, then I guess we are just probably going to get there anyway. Okay, Thoughtseize, okay. So we know their hand. -1 card. Thoughtseize you. Another pieces of the puzzle. Yep. Pieces is too slow. I think I'm just supposed to keep taking away the things they can actually cast. And now what do we like here? I think we like the Edict. I see no real need to field aggressively. Alright, they hit their land drop, so now I'm a little bit punished for that, but really this is just my fault for failing to tick the Liliana up. They found an unsubstantiate, which is actually going to buy them a lot of time. Erg. Erg. Pretty bad stuff. Our Goif is a 7-8, though. That's kind of cool, huh? That's a thing. Nile Spellbomb. I like that draw a whole lot. So we have Enchantment, Planeswalker, blah, blah, blah. We don't have land in the yard, at least, so... Yeah, we already have Artifact anyway, right? Okay. Okay, so the big question is, do we Spellbomb now? And I think the answer is yes. That way, if we find just anything else proactive, we can do it now. They have one fewer pieces in hand, right? So, sure. Spellbomb you. Draw a card. Dark Confidant's proactive, that'll count. Okay. Pretty nice, pretty nice. If I had remembered to take my Liliana up, this would be even nicer. So our opponent's got to unsubstantiate. Ooh. I was going to say they've got to... Oh no, the Shivan Reef can still be... They can still unsubstantiate painlessly. That's right. So, they've got to unsubstantiate this Goif to live, from what I can tell. Inquisition of Kozilek. Pieces, so they have gifts and PIF, sure. Alright, so I think we want to take them off of a non-pain land here. Alright, folks, did we get there despite my misclick with Liliana? I have to assume that we did. We did it. Alright, we did it. Okay, so, duly noted. Always make sure, always make sure you have activated your Planeswalker. Now, there are some instances in which you actually don't activate Liliana of the Veil, as any player who's played enough Golgari or other BGX decks knows. There is kind of a fine art to deciding, you know, I think my resources are valuable enough that I'm not supposed to tick the Liliana up, even if it's symmetrical, even if it advances her loyalty. That is a judgment call you sometimes have to make. I didn't make that judgment call. I am just bad, and I did everything else first, and then, whoops, forgot to activate the Liliana, but all's well that ends well. Our opponent was stuck on lands for a little bit too long this game. We had some really decent proactive stuff to do. Them dealing with the Dark Confidant right away was pretty rough for us, but we had the turn 3 Liliana, we found some hand disruption, and we found a Tarmogoyf, and the Tarmogoyf, of course, majorly quick clock, and, you know, we continued to, so I think using the Nile Spellbomb there was actually pretty great. A lot of the times you just want to hang on to that Spellbomb until they cast their Past in Flames, and then there you go. Spellbomb the graveyard. You're basically blanking the Past in Flames, but the problem with doing that there is we just didn't necessarily have the luxury of slow rolling that, and their graveyard was so gigantic that we were at least getting a lot of value out of it. Not optimal value in terms of hosting their graveyard. As you can see, they did rebuild a little bit and they had some more fuel in an alternative universe. They could have, cast a Past in Flames and had some action at least, if they had the mana to pull this off. So, but there I think we really, truly needed to dig at that specific juncture of the game for something proactive to do. And it ended up working out great because we found a Dark Confidant who not only helps put lethal across, but also, of course, helps us continue to draw cards, continue to be proactive, and continue to trade resources. So, yeah, I kind of liked the aggressive brutality escalation. Of course, again, forgetting to activate the Liliana made that a little bit worse, but other than that, I think this Game 3 we piloted it fairly well. Game 2 is where, like I said, it will haunt me, because I wonder if we should have just gone for the kill with EE cracked to do nothing except grow the Tarmogoyfs by +1/+1, try to put lethal across, but I was very suspicious of Unsubstantiate. Sitting here after the match is over, I continue to think that Unsubstantiate was in their hand then, but of course we have no way of knowing. So let me know what you think I should have done there, and about that Gifts Ungiven decision that I made after the Tarmogoyfs attacked and them down to 1 in Game 2 as well. So this one was a little bit shaky. It was close. Very, very close Game 2. Actually, Game 1 and Game 3, they got choked on mana for a little bit too long. They had mana bears, but not land drops in the mid-game turns, and we had removal for the mana bears, and that just made them stumble long enough for us to get across the finish line. So, very, very disappointed in myself for forgetting to take up the Liliana. I'm just become a little bit self-conscious of how long I take on turns when I'm trying to live commentate. Honestly, guys, the big thing for me is that clicking, the mechanics of clicking are not natural for me while I talk. I don't know what it is, but sometimes I'm just clicking like it's my first time playing on this interface. So I suppose that'll just come with time, but the brain is working in two different directions. Simple mechanical muscle memory things get thrown off kilter, and then you forget to take your Liliana up, if you're me anyway. So, fortunately, that mistake was not punished, or that misclick was not punished. It wasn't a gameplay or strategic or tactical mistake. It was a user error on this interface. But hey, that's a big factor. So we didn't get punished, or we didn't get punished enough. We still got across the finish line. So I will take it. Like I said in Game 1, I don't really care how we get there as long as we get there. So anyway, we advance to 3-0 in the league, taking down Storm, which I've heard mixed feedback about how good we are against Storm. So on paper, we have everything we need against Storm. We have a clock that's respectable. We have Hand Disruption, and we have removal for the mana bears. All of this is true. We also have good ways to interact with their graveyard plan and with their Empty the Warrens plan in the main deck, actually, and especially post-side, but even in the main deck we have a Maelstrom Pulse for the Warrens. Not that most people main deck Empty the Warrens, but I have seen that. And we have, of course, Scavenging Ooze for the graveyard and maybe a main deck Nile Spellbomb or two. All of this is true. The big problem is that Storm is extremely consistent, although you saw a relatively inconsistent display there from Storm. And we also kind of need a little bit of everything to stop them from going off. We really kind of need to see removal, we need to see removal if they play a Mana Bear and they're hitting land drops. But if they're not playing a Mana Bear and they're just hitting land drops, our removal is kind of dead in hand. So there can be a wrong half of the deck problem. Then you also saw how I kind of, wasn't exactly sure with sideboarding whether to assume they're still heavy on the grave stuff or not, because again, I've seen people pivot almost entirely to a pieces of the puzzle, empty the Warren's plan with like maybe, maybe just a token copy or two of the Past in Flames and the Grape Shot and stuff like that. The thing is, every Storm player is different, and I think there's no one set way to necessarily sideboard against us. So for that reason, the matchup can be a little bit hard to pin down. I think we are slightly favored, but I don't think we're that far ahead of them on the odds. But like I said, I've heard mixed responses to that, so let me know what you think about that as well if you're so inclined. And yeah, I'm glad we escaped with the win here. I hope to never forget to activate my Liliana again. I'm sorry, Lily. I didn't mean it. Please forgive me. Everything's going to be fine. I'll never do it to you again. And yeah, let's leave it there. So as always, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate the views, and I appreciate all of the support, and I appreciate you sticking with me through the growing pains on live commentary while playing competitive matchups. I appreciate your love of the replay stuff, and I appreciate your love of the for fun trolling around in the tournament practice lobby stuff. We're going to keep doing all three, and we're going to have a great time. So thanks for watching, thanks for your support, and stay tuned to the channel. We're going to be finishing up this league over the next few days, and there will also be other forms of gameplay to come soon. So thanks again, and I will talk to you soon. Have a great night.